In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front brake hoses on this Toyota Corolla. These are the performance steel braided brake hoses, but if you install regular ones, the procedure is exactly the same. These are located behind your front wheel. They connect your brake line to your front caliper. Let's get started. With a 21mm socket, remove all 5 lug nuts and then remove the wheel. If your vehicle has locking lug nuts, break them free first with a breaker bar with the wheel on the ground. Otherwise, the splines on that locking lug nut socket could get damaged and break off. I've already loosened mine up, so let's remove the rest of them. Not all vehicles have these locking lug nuts. Remove the wheel. Now with the wheel off, we can see our brake hose that runs from the caliper side all the way to our line. I want to start by trying to break that fitting free. Often it gets stuck on the line itself, so when you try to spin it, it'll twist the line with it. If that happens, we have to have a different approach a little bit so that we can save the line. What we would have to do is unthread the hose off of the fitting instead of spinning the fitting to unthread it off the hose. Regardless, let's start there and try to break it free. Using a 10mm line wrench or flare nut wrench, put it on and try to break this free very gently. All right, and that, although it is trying to move the line, is spinning independently of it, which is great news. That means it's not seized onto the line and we can do this job the way that I prefer to do it, and that is to start from the caliper and replace everything up to here, and then at the end quickly swap the hose over and lose the least amount of brake fluid. Before we start disconnecting the hose, I want to clamp it off with some pliers. This will restrict the flow of brake fluid and therefore allow us to work a little bit easier. Let's remove the brake hose off the caliper. If you had the original banjo bolt, it would be a 14mm. However, because I have a different caliper and a different banjo bolt, I'm going to use an 11mm wrench and remove the banjo bolt with the brake hose. As you pull this off, you want to make sure both of these washers come off with it. Always replace these. Now you want to take your new brake hose, stick the banjo bolt with a new washer in it, a copper washer on the other side as well, and start it into the caliper. Snug this up. Make sure the hook on the hose stays in the cutout that it's meant to stay in on the caliper. Snug it up and torque this to 21 foot-pounds. All right. What you're really looking to do is squish these washers a little bit. They're copper, so they're soft. That'll create a nice tight seal. So I can get a head start on my gravity bleed, I'm going to remove the bleeder screw cover now. And with an 8mm socket, break free that bleeder screw. There we go. Now we'll wait for fluid to come through, push all the air out, no more air bubbles. Then the system should be free of most, if not all of the air bubbles that are in it. But you can still perform a manual brake bleed, which is recommended. You'll see how to do that at the end of the video. For now, let's just wait for this to be done. Doing this will make it so that as soon as we connect the hose on the other side, air can start coming out of here and fluid will be filling the hose and the caliper. Now follow the brake hose up and you'll see where it's mounted on the front of the strut. Using a 14mm socket, remove that bolt. Remove the brake hose. Bring in the new brake hose. Make sure it goes over that ABS wire bracket. And start in the mounting bolt. Now back to where we started. Right here, let's break that fitting free and remove the hose and swap them. Before I take this completely out, I'm going to remove this clip that locks the brake hose in. For this, use some pliers and pull it right out. Finish unthreading your fitting. Might have to hold the hose at this point. Actually, I can just spin the hose since it's unbolted from the other side. Have a collection bucket underneath. Fluid will drip now. Stick the new hose up into its bracket. And you can't spin the hose now, but you can spin the fitting, of course. Make sure that everything is lined up. Otherwise, you're going to have some cross-threading going on, which is not what you want. Make sure this threads on nice and smooth. I got this snugged up. So now let's just find the direction that this cutout on the hose wants to be in. That way we can lock it in place. I like to use some pliers to gently maneuver this around. There we go. That's it right there. Take that clip, lock it in, and finish tightening up this fitting with your flare nut wrench. That way you don't damage the cutout. We'll just snug it up. Once it's snug, just give it a little bit extra. Okay, that just stopped right there. A little extra, that's plenty. Now it's important to clean your work so that any leak that might be here, you can easily spot. If there's already brake fluid, it can get a little confusing. Use brake parts cleaner and rinse this all down. Our gravity bleed is done. It looks like there is clean, steady trickle of brake fluid coming out of the bleeder screw. No air bubbles. So let's close this off using that 8mm wrench. Just snug it. And now we'll use some brake parts cleaner after I wipe this off and just rinse this down so there's no brake fluid dripping all over the ground. Cap off the bleeder screw once you're done. Let's get the wheel back on. Hold it on here and install all 5 lug nuts. We'll bottom them out in a cross pattern, and also in a cross pattern, we'll torque them to 76 foot-pounds. Double check them all. Pump up the brake pedal. Top off the master cylinder and take it for a road test. The brake master cylinder is located on the driver's side of the engine bay up against the firewall, and Toyota was nice enough to give a little cutout here so you can access it without removing much at all. Grab onto this rubber weather stripping and pull it away on this last hook, and then pull it in the other direction on this next hook. Now there's 2 tabs here that we have to press in and pull up on, and that will release this little plate with the weather stripping. Fold it out of your way, and there's your master cylinder. If there's a lot of debris over here, wipe it off with a rag. Mine's not in too bad of shape here, it's pretty clean, so I'm going to remove the cap. If you read it closely, it'll say to only use .3 or 4 brake fluid, and that's exactly what we'll be using. This master cylinder has brand new brake fluid in it because I just repaired a big leak. So there is no reason for me to extract the brake fluid that I just put in. However, if you have existing brake fluid in here that you didn't just put in, I would remove the old brake fluid with a little straw, and there's typically a vacuum pump that you can use or a fluid transfer pump that is able to get down in here and extract it all, and then of course recycle it properly. As for me, I'll just be topping this off with brand new brake fluid all the way to the full line, which you can read on the side of it. Once you've filled it up, cap it off. Now these vehicles will come with either rear drum brakes or rear disc brakes. We happen to have rear disc brakes, but the sequence is exactly the same. So you start at the right rear wheel, that's the passenger side rear. Then you move over to the left front, that being the driver's side front. Then you top off the master cylinder. Then you move over to the driver's side rear, or the left rear. And then you finish off with the right front, that's the passenger side front. Then top off the master cylinder again, and if you think you need to bleed some more, do it again in the same sequence until no air bubbles come out of any of the bleeder screws. We are now at the right rear wheel. This is our first caliper we're going to bleed, so I'm going to pop the bleeder screw cap off. I have an assistant in the vehicle that's ready to pump up the brake pedal and create pressure. And with a 10mm wrench, I'm going to be ready to open the bleeder screw once there's pressure built in the system. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please.
Holding.
All right, holding pressure, so I'm going to break this free.
Floor.
All right, quite a bit of air came out of there. Snug it up and go again. We're going to pump and bleed until there's no more air bubbles coming out of this bleeder screw.
Holding. Floor.
All right, let's do it one more time. Go again.
Holding. Floor.
I like this. This was nice and clean. I'm going to cap this off. You can let go of the brake pedal now. Clean off anything that may have dripped down, and of course, cap off your bleeder screw. Now we'll move over to the left front wheel. Now our second wheel is going to be the left front caliper. Remove the bleeder screw cap, and same thing, I'm gonna put my bleeder hose on the bleeder screw. Have an assistant in the vehicle. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please.
Holding.
All right, by the way, this takes an 8mm socket, no longer a 10.
Floor.
Break that free. Okay, go again.
Holding. Floor.
This one's actually not bad. Let's do it one last time. Go again.
Holding. Floor.
All right, you can let go of the brake pedal. Wipe off any brake fluid that may have dripped. Rinse it with brake parts cleaner if needed, and cap this off. Now let's fill up the master cylinder, remove the cap, fill it up all the way to the max line, cap it back off. And then move over to the left rear caliper and then the front right caliper and do the same that you just saw me do on the other side rear and this side front. Let's fill up the master cylinder one last time. Take the cap off, top it off up to the max line, cap it back off, and put this cap back on here. Make sure this is still hooked in. All right, there we go. Job is done. Put the wheels back on and torque them to 76 foot-pounds.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.